Now, in 2006, the atheist Richard Dawkins released a book called The God Delusion. And in the book, The God Delusion, there were many claims. One of them was, he said, the essence of religious faith, whether that's Christian faith or other faith, the essence of it really is irrational belief despite the evidence. And often he said that Christians are the type of people who want to encourage blind faith despite any evidence, despite any reason. That's sort of commended in religious circles. But that is not the faith, that is not the type of belief that Jesus or the apostles commend. So just look at doubting Thomas. Verse 24, now Thomas, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples said to him, we have seen the Lord. So he said to them, unless I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe. After 8 days, this is the next Sunday, his disciples were again inside, and Thomas with them. Jesus came, the doors being shut, and stood in their midst, and said, peace to you. Then he said to Thomas, reach your finger here, and look into my hands. Reach your hand here and put it into my side. Do not be unbelieving, but believing. And Thomas answered and said to him, my Lord and my God. So Thomas moves from being skeptical of the resurrection to then saying, my Lord and my God. He moves from being somebody who's doubting, bless him, he's still called Doubting Thomas, to somebody who has faith, who believes. How does he move from being a skeptic to somebody who believes? By seeing the evidence. By seeing the nail scars. By seeing the fact that it was Jesus, it wasn't a hallucination. It was a real person who'd come back to life. He could touch him and see him. And it wasn't just a random person who looked like Jesus. No, it was actually Jesus because they had the marks of his crucifixion. He could see the evidence. Faith wasn't irrational. It wasn't blind faith. It was based on evidence. Now, you may say, well, that was all good for Doubting Thomas, but if we had Jesus in the room, that would be helpful. We don't have Jesus physically in the room, do we? But we do have evidence, because we have this book. We have John's Gospel, which we've just been reading from, which is a first century document based on an eyewitness, the Apostle John. We have other eyewitness documents from the first century that are based on eyewitness testimony. They're called Matthew, Mark, and Luke. We have over 500 witnesses mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 in the New Testament, a first century document. We have the disciples going from timid and scared and locked up in a room to being bold and courageous and giving their lives for something. We have the church being a marginalized small little group to becoming the largest movement in the history of the world. People give their lives for things that they think are true, right? That doesn't necessarily prove it to be true. But the disciples gave their lives for the fact that Jesus had come back to life. And they are the only people in human history who know for a fact whether they actually met Jesus in that room. And they gave their lives for that. All these things are rational evidence for us to believe in the resurrection of Jesus. Of course, resurrections don't normally happen. I know that. People don't normally come back from the dead. But we mustn't dismiss that with a sort of presupposition, a naturalistic presupposition that, well, because dead people can't come back to life again, therefore Jesus didn't come back to life again, when there is evidence to suggest that he did. Ironically, that would be the thing that would be irrational and blind faith.